Oh, sure, babies learning math. Well, maybe toddlers a little bit, but they don't really understand numbers, do they? Is that what you're thinking? Then you don't really know what math is. It's not just numbers or adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. It's also the patterns that babies and toddlers are exposed to. I'm Tara Tuck, and I help parents, preschool teachers, and all of you who care for young children to learn everything you need to know about speech and language, the most important part of child development. In this video, I'm going to tell you about how you can start your toddler and even your baby on the road to understanding and even being excited about numbers and lots of other things they'll experience that are related to mathematics. I'm a speech and language pathologist and the author of The Joy of Language, The Guide to Language and Learning for Parents and Caregivers. I've given you that link below. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this and visit my website. It's amazing how we can find mathematical concepts all around us every day. But you have to make sure your little one is aware of them. And there are so many fun ways to do that. So I'll explain how to look for these opportunities and why. And at the end, I'll give you some great suggestions about how you can make sure your toddler and even your baby is surrounded by these experiences so that he or she will become actually enthusiastic about math. Parents and preschool teachers often think of beginning mathematics as only counting and recognizing numbers, but mathematics encompasses so many concepts, shapes which are used in geometry, patterns that are needed for algebra, number operations like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, spatial navigation like directions, now take 2 steps backwards, mapping, like making visual representations of their classroom or bedroom, and even data analysis, like watching the progress of plants growing or keeping charts. Remember also that mathematics is language. It has its own vocabulary, grammar, and relationships. We have to make inferences in math, like drawing some conclusions from data. We have to associate and classify knowledge. We have to use the vocabulary and the grammar of both math and non-math language in order to learn to talk about and to use mathematics. You already know that parents and caregivers need to stimulate all aspects of language, so be sure not to forget to stimulate in your child the language of numbers, quantity, measurement, spatial awareness, which includes volume and area, and even logical thinking. So what's all this about babies learning math? Well, this may surprise you. One of the first ways babies are introduced to math is through music. Introducing young children to various types of music may have a very positive effect on the learning of mathematical concepts. Music illustrates rhythm, tempo, changes in volume, harmony, sequencing, counting, patterning, and this is all mathematically based. Parents usually introduce babies to musical patterns by rocking and singing songs like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, while bouncing baby on their knee or rocking to the beat. And later, children's games like Patty Cake teach children to keep a beat, patting hands together on the first beat of a sequence. Patty cake, baker's man. You know, it's all mathematical. And besides developing skills through music, infants can also discriminate quantities, which plays an important role in the understanding of numbers. Very young infants can discriminate one dot from more than one dot on a piece of paper. is called subitizing. That's the ability to perceive a quantity like 3 and to differentiate it from another quantity without actually counting. So your baby's brain is figuring out numbers and quantity right from the beginning. So let's look at some toys your baby or toddler will be using. Like plastic shape puzzles are great for toddlers. Many studies have shown that shape composition is important in the development of math skills. Young children first just play with shapes, but they don't flip them or try to fit them into a puzzle hole. They also don't put shapes together to form different shapes or pictures, but after a while they do try to do this, but on a trial and error basis. And eventually they learn to manipulate shapes, even to make pictures with them, like making a house out of triangles for the roof and squares for the house and the windows. Colorful blocks are also wonderful for teaching spatial awareness and other important mathematical concepts like patterning, estimation, measurement, symmetry, part-whole relationships, balance. Think about how building with blocks involves spatial imagination. What am I going to build? How far away from each other should these blocks be in order to build a bridge? Do I have another block that looks like this one for the other side? A visual spatial deficit can even indicate a math disability, so it's an important skill to encourage. And you and your child can have a lot of fun playing with blocks. An easy way to develop this skill with blocks is to train your child to imitate block designs. First, give yourself and your child similar groups of blocks. So you put a red block on the table and ask her to do the same thing. Then put a blue block next to it. Show her how to do the same thing so that hers is a mirror image of yours. Then add another block to the design and have your child copy that. When your child does this easily, then add 2 blocks at a time. Do this often with your child while adding more blocks at a time and making more complex structures. It's a wonderful way to teach your child to envision parts and wholes simultaneously. A very important concept for mathematics. And you can start this before your toddler begins to count. And speaking of counting, once your toddler has memorized the number sequence to about 5, she'll be ready to understand that numbers actually symbolize quantity. 1 is the first number she'll understand, then 2, and once she understands the concept of 3, she's ready to begin counting with a one-to-one relationship of number to object. And there's also a strong correlation between number knowledge and vocabulary knowledge. So children who have a larger vocabulary understand that words, including number words, have meaning, and they can practice word endings like pluralization S in 3 apples. It's a good idea to use numbers when reading stories to your child. While reading a story, you might say, "Look at the mommy duck and her 3 babies," or, "Oh my goodness, now there are 4 shoes on the front porch." Your baby can focus on the elephants in the story as well as the number of elephants standing in the water. So now let's look at the sequence for developing mathematical ability. First comes the concept of numerosity, the understanding of quantity and measurement, which begins really within the first year. This is why you need to get started with this very early. 6-month-old infants can't discriminate numerical differences between sets of dots like 8 versus 12 dots, but remarkably, 10-month-old infants are able to do so. 10 months old. Now, of course, Counting is first learned by rote memorization. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But soon a child will associate the number words with actual quantities. But during this important stage, memorization of numbers can be learned more easily if the speaker also uses some prosody or a sing-songy way of saying the words. It makes it enjoyable, like a game or a song, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, at about 2 years of age, your child will begin to memorize the basic sequence of number words, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in preschool, he should be able to count all the way to 20, which is a prediction of math success in the first grade. So let's get you started on teaching mathematics to your baby and toddler. You can count toys while putting them away. This will also make cleanup more fun, and what parent wouldn't like that? All kinds of sorting activities are good. Sort toys, cars, dolls, animals, all of that. This teaches grouping and even subgroups. You can sort silverware into sets, forks, knives, and spoons. You can sort laundry, like socks, shirts, pants, and towels. You can make a puzzle on a piece of paper by tracing around shapes of small household items. Then put the items in front of your child so she can put each into its shape on the paper. As you know, shapes are important in geometry. Match straws to juice cartons for one-to-one correspondence. Then label them with family members' names to continue teaching one-to-one correspondence. You can line up pots by size, largest to smallest, and have your child help you do this. Find out how many cups it takes to fill a pot, and then count them out with your child. And at the end, you can say, "How many?" to show that the last number is the number of cups. Count stairs as you go up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Say something like, "Let's put 5 chocolate chips in each cookie." Then have him help you to do that. Count people in the family. Then figure out how many hands and how many feet are in the family. You can draw a picture of the family with your toddler to help out. When the family is together, or if you're on a play date with other children, talk aloud when helping your child share equally. You can say something like, "Let's see how many grapes Charles will have, and then how many we can give to John." And then portion them out equally, saying 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. Find things that come in twos and call them pairs, like feet, eyes, ears, shoes, socks, and things that come in fives, like fingers and toes and gloves. Put small objects on number cards, like 3 rubber bands, 2 paper clips, 5 pencils. Then draw each object on a card to see if you can put the objects in the right place. Also give choices. Like you might say, "You may have 2 cookies. Would you like the round ones or the square ones?" And have your child learn to use these words for numbers and shapes. Then they'll become part of his vocabulary. Take objects out of a mystery bag for classification by function, like different kinds of flatware, drawing tools, hair accessories. Because grouping and classifying are important for using math in the real world. So try these activities with your little one. Very young children really take to mathematical concepts when they're presented in a fun way. You might not be raising a baby genius, but you never know. Now, please write to me in the comments below. Ask me questions, give me suggestions. Also, please subscribe to my channel and visit my website, thejoyoflanguage.com. and tell your friends, relatives, preschool teachers, babysitters about my book that explains it all, and of course about my videos. And I'll see you in the next one.